I received a review copy of Sushi Go Party from the distributor, so thank you to Coiled Spring. Sushi goes round on a conveyor belt, right? Round and round in circles, while diners pick their dishes they want to consume. How about a little bit of wasabi to enhance your nigiri? Don't forget the puddings. Sushi Go, Sushi Roll, and Sushi Go Party all simulate the fun and excitement of watching raw fish rotate in card or dice game format. I guess that's the hook. I'm Adam Porter. I design games and I review them with a particular focus on their viability as a commercial product. The Sushi Go family of games is a known quantity. Spoiler alert, they're viable. I reviewed the first edition of Sushi Go back in 2013, the year it was released, and I've been along for the ride ever since. In this review, we're going to be looking at the first edition, the famous Game Right edition, the creepy German edition, the expanded Sushi Go Party edition, and the spin-off dice game Sushi Roll. And I'll throw in a design challenge at the end for any budding inventors out there. Sushi Go was self-published in 2013 by the then unknown designer Phil Walker-Harding. It wasn't his first game. Phil's earlier card game Archaeology had already received plenty of praise, but Sushi Go was certainly Walker-Harding's first game to make a splash. 2 years after its release in 2011, Seven Wonders was taking the world by storm, riding high after its Kennerspiel des Jahres win. Pick and pass drafting was a fresh new mechanism, previously reserved for Magic the Gathering tournaments, and an unassuming 2004 card game called Fairy Tale. As attractive and ingenious as Seven Wonders was, it was also a bit bloody complicated. All these icons, resources, phases, and tokens. In my videos, I've been advocating design thinking for some time now, and here's a great example of it in action. Walker-Harding understood his market. He identified a need. Players wanted all the excitement of Seven Wonders without that hefty onboarding process. In hindsight, the solution seems obvious. Smooth off all the rough edges so that anybody could be up and running with the game in no time. But that's easy to say right now. Phil Walker-Harding was the first to spot this opportunity, and Sushi Go is still the most accessible game in its class. Walker-Harding's other inspired decision was in identifying a fitting theme. What's going on in Seven Wonders? Why exactly are these buildings rotating around the table, and how do they relate to the production of my hanging gardens? Sushi Go, on the other hand, with its revolving dumplings, maki and tempura, just makes sense. The simultaneous release of a German edition from Zoc Verlag and an international edition from Game Right introduced two new packages with distinctive new artwork. Game Right didn't stray too far from the original, with increased shading lifting the previously very flat sushi cartoons a little, giving them a little bit more weight and depth. And it's this version which struck a chord with gamers around the world, while Zoc's edition never really took off. Sad really, because that's my preferred version of the game. I'm a little bit biased. Zoc Verlag is my favourite publisher. I love their distinctive art and graphic design choices, and their edition of Sushi Go stands out as particularly grotesque, because it's inevitably compared to the sickly sweet art of the Game Right edition. I am just thrilled by the melting face of the pudding, or the terrified expression on the maki roll as it faces its inevitable demise in the stomach of a hungry German businessman. Regardless of edition, the gameplay is identical. Each player holds a hand of cards with different Japanese dishes on them. They select one dish to keep and pass the rest on to the next player. Hence, the cards move round and round the table until all have been selected and revealed in front of the players. The dishes are then scored in various different ways. So nigiri are worth 1, 2, or 3 points, but that score is tripled if they're dipped into wasabi. Each dumpling is worth an increasing number of points, so small sets don't score you very much, but larger sets score big. You don't get any points for a single tempura, but a pair of tempura scores 5 points. And likewise with sashimi. 0 points for 1 or 2, but a set of 3 is worth 10. The player with the most maki rolls gets 6 points, second place gets 3, and puddings are saved for the end of the game. After 3 complete rounds, the player with the most puddings scores 6, and the player with the fewest loses 6 points. And finally, there's a chopsticks card, which is worth 0 points, but it allows you to take 2 items instead of 1 when a hand of cards is passed to you. And the highest scorer at the end of the game wins. Sushi Go scores well on my engagement ladder analysis. The theme is attractive and it makes good sense. The interaction is constant, with plenty of options to hold cards back to deprive your opponents of the stuff that they need. There's a good degree of tension as you beg fate to offer up the cards that you need to finish off a set. and the feedback is constant and generous. And the game only really falls down on meaningful decisions. Sushi Go isn't a game that you play strategically. It's tactical choices all the way, and luck will frequently dictate the winner of the game. The overall score is 9. It's not quite enough to reach the highest rung, but it is achingly close. It's astounding that the game didn't attract the attention of the Spiel des Jahres jury. There's no doubt that it was a mega hit. Plotted on my idea execution matrix, Sushi Go sits in the top right-hand corner, an outstanding idea masterfully executed by Gamewright, who packaged it into an attractive little tin at a very affordable price. I think the next chapter in the Sushi Go story is particularly interesting. Gamewright clearly identified that Sushi Go was a viable brand, and growing that brand was of benefit to the publisher and to gamers alike. As a tiny game, Sushi Go was never going to lend itself to expansions, but to my mind, the logical next step would be a range of standalone card games with different dishes in each one of them, but the same core gameplay. Perhaps those standalone titles could be mixed and matched to create unique combinations of dishes. Zoch Verlag used this model for their card game series Beastie Bar, and we've also seen a similar thing with the game Similo. But Gamewright and Walker Harding didn't go this route. Instead, they produced Sushi Go Party, a much bigger tin with tons of different cards which all score in different ways. Where Sushi Go had 8 varieties of card, the Party Edition has 22. Eels, onigiri, edamame, green tea ice cream, each with a unique mode of set collecting. In this package, Walker Harding has really demonstrated the breadth of scoring options for designers of set collection games in any genre. It's like a textbook. Miraculously, Gamewright have kept the fancy tin and provided the package for just a few pounds more than the original. By packing so much into this standalone product, it feels like Gamewright has stifled any further opportunity to expand the original game. I wonder if that's a decision which has paid off. Since we'll never see the standalone expansion model, I guess we won't ever know, but I can't imagine it's causing Gamewright or Phil Walker Harding many sleepless nights. Regardless of what could have been, Sushi Go Party is undeniably another massive hit. It's telling that Zoch Verlag abandoned their offbeat artwork when they released the German edition of Sushi Go Party, instead opting to use the cute artwork from the Gamewright edition. It saddens me a little bit. I liked seeing those little puddings suffer. But the Sushi Go story doesn't end there. Players wanted more, or at least that's what Gamewright were banking on. But that creates something of a dilemma. With Sushi Go Party apparently covering all bases, what could a publisher offer to a customer who already owned the definitive tin? Phil Walker Harding answered that call with a reimagining of the original. He set about solving the dilemma by positing the question, how would Sushi Go function if it used dice instead of cards? Now that's a familiar old design trick. Quarriers was created by designers intent on replicating a deck builder with dice. And my own game Throne answered the question, how would a trick-taking game work with dice instead of cards? In 2019, Sushi Roll was released. In Sushi Roll, players each draw dice from a bag and add them to their conveyor belt. Players then roll their dice. And in turn order, players can spend menu tokens to re-roll dice and chopsticks to swap dice with those of their opponents. Finally, you select a die to keep and you pass the rest to the player on your left. Each time you receive dice from another player, you roll them before making another selection. And once all dice have been selected, they're scored in a similar manner to the original game. After 3 complete rounds, the highest scorer wins. And Sushi Roll is a bigger, less portable package than the original. The plastic components dictate a higher price point, although it is still very reasonably priced. But inevitably, the bulk of the product takes something away from the charm of the original. The package is bigger, but the gameplay is really just as slight as the card game. That's not to say that Sushi Roll isn't fun, it certainly is. And if there was ever a dream combination, it's Gamewright and Phil Walker Harding, both brands that I really trust. They've rarely let me down, and Sushi Roll really is no exception. To describe a game as not quite as good as Sushi Go might sound like a damning critique, but what it really means is Sushi Go is exceptional and Sushi Roll is very good indeed. The real question is, will there be a chapter 4? Gamewright has previously created a trilogy of games with Forbidden Island, Desert and Sky, but to my knowledge we've yet to see them stretch to a 4th. That hasn't stopped fans inevitably calling for Sushi Roll Party. So I've got some homework for you, game designers. Go and design the next Sushi Go product. Don't worry about Phil, he won't mind. It's a design challenge, it's not a commercial strategy. I'm not suggesting you pitch this stuff. but you never know what ideas it might ignite for you. Sushi Go is an incredible foundation to build on. Shoulders of giants and all that. Remember when Reiner Knizia evolved his famous Lost Cities card game into Lost Cities the board game? Well, why not make Sushi Go the board game? What would that entail? How about Sushi Go the roll and write? There's got to be some scope there. Sushi Go the polyomino game. Sushi Go Junior. It's already so slight, that one feels like a real challenge. So how about Sushi Go Master Edition? Let me know how you get on, subscribe to the channel, hit like, and I'll see you next time. All the best.